Hi everyone, welcome to the Waygook Noonas. My name is Rebecca.
And I'm Alyssa.
And we have been fans of K-pop for a long time. We both got to live in South Korea during the golden age of K-pop, aka second generation.
And all these years later, we're still obsessed.
Still obsessed. And I thought, just to kind of get us started off, because what we want to do with this podcast is we're just going to reminisce about this era that was just perfect, I think, in K-pop. Like, I know everyone has their thoughts and they have, third gen, fourth gen. I think they're saying there's fifth gen now, but
Yeah, I think they're on fifth gen now.
that's insane, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So we focused in on second generation because it had existed for a few years before we moved to South Korea. And while there is debate on aka debate between me and everyone else, we are going to go with second generation artists, not like the specific timelines, because technically we did live there at the beginning of third gen, but many of the artists that people consider as solid third generation artists didn't really start winning or becoming as huge as they became until after we left. And for this first episode, what we wanted to do is just kind of introduce, like, how did we get into K-pop? Because I feel like it's a very personal journey for a lot of people, especially for like if you were a fan before the whole BTS like Gangnam style explosion. So we're gonna kind of dig into it. So Alyssa, you started off with talking about Boa and Inuyasha. You and I both had a similar situation. My first direct introduction to K-pop was similar with a Korean artist in Japan, but mine predates that a bit more. But I guess Alyssa, so what was it like? How did you get into Boa? You said Inuyasha, but did you realize she was Korean?
No, I only knew her as a Japanese artist, and I think, how did I figure out she was Korean? I don't know if I like looked her up or what I did, but it was, or someone told me. I think someone may have told me. I may have mentioned it to one of the exchange students at my school, and they're like, "Oh yeah, she's from Korea." Probably something like that. I went, "Wait, what?" And then kind of did to with Korea what I did with Japan, found out a singer or a song I like or a show that I like was from this country. And so I looked up more into the country and I just heard a lot from my friends at university and was just kind of like, sounds like a fun place to go.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
still just mostly Boa because I was like a little more obsessed with
So, can you remember what year that
anime
would
at the
have
time.
been? So Boa's like early Gen 2, like super early Gen 2. So
2006 ish, 2007. Because I was in Japan 2008 to 2009. So I think it was right around when I started university, which would have been 2006.
okay. Yeah, so mine, I'm just looking up the dates for mine because my first introduction to K-pop is through the most random source ever. It was in 2007. I would have been in university, big fan of staying up late watching TV, and I was a big fan of Stephen Colbert. And Stephen Colbert was in the running for the Time 100 most influential people, and Rain, his fans, his crazy fans in Asia, like all over, decided to vote him in to be number one. And it started a bit of a beef with Stephen Colbert because he became number two. And I can remember.
Sometimes you gotta love K-pop fans.
I know. Well, that was my first experience of being like, oh, you guys are insane. Like, I knew not, at this point, I was hard into J-pop. Like, give me my Katsune, give me my Arashi, give me my, like, I was a big Johnny's fan. I was on the road to be moving to Japan. I was studying Japanese. Like, it was J-pop or bust. Like, my Japan fandom was so irritatingly niche that nobody now would know what I'm talking about, because I was like, I liked really bad musicals based off of animes, and the cast weren't hired for being good singers or dancers. They were hired for being really pretty. So, like, don't judge me. I was 20. Like, come on. Like, but they were really good
I
looking.
ain't
So,
judging because I'm right there with you. I
yeah.
mean, I didn't go with the musicals, but definitely
But
the
yeah,
Johnnies and
yeah. So I was hard into Johnny's, and but I was also a big fan of like Stephen Colbert and stuff. And this Rain thing comes out, and I was like, what? Who the hell? And look into it. I was like, his fans are insane, like absolutely insane. And I kind of forgot about that. And then a few months later, I saw that he was going to be in, was it Speed Racer? Is that what it was called? That
Mhm.
movie that like looked like an
Yeah.
acid trip. Um,
Yes.
and I was like, oh hey, no, you don't get Japanese artists over in movies here. So I was like, oh, this is close. So I went to go see it, and I was like, oh, I like him. He's good looking. And then he won the Time 100 most influential again. And it then became like a thing. And Stephen Colbert was like, I'm going to fight you, and we want to dance off or a cuddle off or whatever. And the whole little fight there ended with them having like a dream sequence dance off on DDR. The first K-pop song I ever heard was Stephen Colbert's version of Ways to Avoid the Sun, where he had changed the lyrics called He's Singing in Korean. So I don't actually know the words to Ways to Avoid the Sun. I know most of the Stephen Colbert version.
Girl, I love you so much. My feelings can only be expressed in Korean.
Which was, looking back on it and going back, now that I know Korean ish, it it made sense. The words were correct. I can remember looking up this thing, and there were so few, apparently, Korean speakers watching Colbert, because no one could get a fully, like, a proper translation of the Korean words for it. And so I couldn't find like all of the words. And now going back, I still can't. I have to like go back and do it myself, which is
Oh my
hilarious.
gosh.
Yeah, it's, it was just, it was a different time. We didn't have like Google Translate, nothing like that. So
Yeah, we did. Yeah, mine's not nearly as exciting as yours is. Yours
I
is
mean,
much more fun.
mine's not like, it's obscure as hell. And then at the same time, like my friend was also into anime, um, and she had told me, she's like, oh, you need to hear this song if you like this, that, and the other in Japan. And it was Strong Baby by Sungri. And we don't talk about Sungri, but it was a good song, and I was like, oh yeah, that's nice. And that was about it. But the first real song where I went like, I love this song, was Ways to Avoid the Sun, as done by Stephen Colbert.
That's great. So Boa got kind of like segued me into it, and then when I had to do a visa run from Japan to Korea. So my grandma and I went to Korea for about a week, and I'm literally just in the airport heading back to Japan, and I'm flipping through CDs. God, I'm aging myself.
We're literally called the
Flipping through
Waygook
CDs.
Noonas. Like, we're Noona fans. It's okay. We're old.
But I think we were in the duty free store at the airport, and they literally had a bucket of like a little basket of CDs, and I flip through and I pick one up and I go, oh hey, this looks really cool. This looks like something I would like. And they were dressed as like demons, angels, something like that. I was like, this is right up my alley. Come to find out, it was the Munchingi or DBSK's debut album in Korea, Triangle. And then of course I went and was like, well, let's look these guys up. And YouTube was just starting to become a thing, and managed to find their music video, and I just went, I like this. This is great.
That's a really good segue because me and Alyssa first met when we both lived in Japan at the same time. We took part in a theater company called Tokyo International Players. We were in a show of Oliver, and it was a big cast, but there was only so many people who are around our same age, and
Right.
so it was a small group of us where we're like, oh, you and we're similar ages, and we kind of just like bonded over shared interests, and I had become aware of Toho Shinki. I, in this case, did not know they were Korean because that was like my first actual K-pop group was Toho Shinki. And
I think
they had
that's
just come
also
out with
when-
Neurotic. And the
Yeah,
secret code.
that was my big cue.
Yeah.
Was on the internet, random blogger was like, she goes, if you don't know what I'm talking about, here's the link. And me being dumb and in my 20s, clicked it, and it was Neurotic.
Yeah. So I got into it through the Japanese. Like I didn't listen to the Korean at first. I couldn't be bothered, and
I think that was also when Big Bang debuted in Japan with Gotta Gotta Go.
Yeah, I missed that completely. For me, it was like, Neurotic definitely did it for me. And then also, like, the Secret Code, which is, I think, one of the, like, even
Good
after
album.
all of these years living, like, being into K-pop, the Secret Code is probably one of my favorite albums, period. And it's a Japanese album because it just, every track on there slaps. It's fantastic.
Yes, it really does.
Then they also, like, I wouldn't have any reason to believe that they weren't Japanese at first, though, because the name was as Japanese. They sang in, I didn't watch interviews, they sang in Japanese. They had not just melodic, but they had doshite, kimi o suki ni
I love that
how do you,
song.
doshite kimi o suki ni natte shimatta n daro? Which is one of my favorites, go-to in karaoke / noreban. Like, go-to
One
for
of
me.
my favorites by them is Bolero.
Oh, yeah. That's another, like, we'll have to go into a list of all of our go-tos, because we used to have a list that we would sing together, and that was, Bolero was one that we, like, knocked out together. It was good.
Yeah, oh my god. I did also, when my senior year at St. Norbert, my senior year at college, because I was a theater major, I created my own show, my own dance performance show, and I did my ballet piece to Bolero just because I connected so much to it. I think the music video was a part of it.
But even like the opening lyrics, like looking back now, like I don't have them in front of me, but she loves the stage. Her dream is to be on, like, to perform. It's very much it's I'll have to look it up after, but yeah, the lyrics are very much like this person's dream is to be a performer, and I loved the idea. Like, for me, I thought Bolero was fantastic because a bolero is a song that grows increasingly over the song, and it is a beautiful example of a bolero. So, like, I had no reason to think that they weren't Japanese until I'm pretty sure one of my co-teachers, because I was teaching in Japan, so Alyssa was a student, I was teaching elementary school, and one of them were like, oh yeah, no, they're Korean. So then I went and listened to the Korean version of Melodic, and I can remember, and Alyssa probably can remember me describing it like this too, the difference between a J-pop version and a K-pop version of a song was, the Japanese version of the song is like going on a date, and they take you out and they get you flowers and they get you chocolate, and then you go out and, maybe you hook up at the end. The K-pop version, just in terms of, like, the words are the same, like, just the sound is hook up in the back of a club, like, in the bathroom stall.
Dark and nerdy.
Wham bam, thank you, ma'am. Like, it was just, so different in terms of, like, wording and, like, the tone. And that was when if I go back and point out my favorite J-pop songs, and then I say, like, my favorite J-pop performers, which was like KAT-TUN and stuff, I really liked the Slutty Man groups. So Neurotic suddenly having an X-rated version because it was like they couldn't perform the Korean version. It got like super banned at first because it was just so yeah, it was suggestive as hell. It was great.
It
But
was
like
super spicy.
that was that I was like, "Oh, if I want like really good like music, if I want the guys to be exactly how I want them to, I need to listen to K-pop." Cuz like Katoon was my go-to because they had like Akinishi Jin, who was just a bit of a man slut, and I loved everything about him because sluttiest man in Japan. It was fantastic. Um,
Yep.
but he kind of,
Maybe
you know,
like
Katoon had its own
Nagakoshi.
drama, and so then I was like, oh, okay, Toho Shinki, I'm gonna stand these super hard, and Alyssa and I were friends then. We were doing this, and they actually were touring. They had like their dome show in Japan, and
Yep.
Alyssa managed to get tickets.
I did. I completely YOLO'd that, and I didn't know anything about fan clubs. My Japanese was not good enough to probably figure it out, and at that point, it was too late to order them anyway, because Japan does the lottery system for their tickets. So I literally went. I'm like, I called my host family. I'm just like, I'm going to a concert. I'm gonna be home late. Just please,
Leave the door
make it
unlocked.
so I can leave the door unlocked so I can get back in, which actually happened a couple of times. They accidentally locked the door on me, and I had to crawl in through the screen door on my room.
Oops.
Anyway, different time or different incident. But called, let them know, and I was just like, there's got to be someone selling extra tickets. There was a fan there who was selling a ticket. I got the ticket. I She got a little bit extra money off of me, but I wasn't terribly mad at it.
Yeah.
But it was nosebleed seats in Tokyo Dome, but I did not care. It was fantastic. And then shortly after,
It turns out it didn't matter that Alyssa got nosebleed seats because they literally broke up like 3 months later, and I I wanted to go so bad, but I was just like, oh no, you're gonna be fine, and no, they broke up, and
yeah,
that
was
was
sad.
the worst. But Alyssa went and picked me up some goods, which was awesome, and I still had that poster for like. God, like 15, 20 years after it felt like. I think I only recently got rid of it. I'm going to have to search for it to see if I still have it because it was just so good.
No, I want to know if I still have some of my merch from all that. I don't know.
I'm a hoarder. Usually a digital hoarder, but for those types of things, like I have boxes of like just the most
Yep.
stuff that I cannot get rid of, even if I wanted to, because it's like, here, do you want this CD to this group that was popular 15 years ago in Korea? It's a CD. You have nothing to read it with anymore. You just put it on your shelf and
Right?
enjoy it. Like,
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I purged some of at least my albums, my physical albums that weren't signed.
yeah.
I got rid of them. I donated them to the library. I'm like, they're. I don't
Oh, I
know.
wonder if I
I
could do
couldn't justify
that.
keeping them.
After that, I moved home. Because that was I moved to Japan in 2008, May.
I
The
was
global
there in July.
yeah. Then the global recession hit, and I lost my job in March of 2009, and struggled to get work because literally there was no budget for the recession was bad in Japan. And the English budget was like the first thing that every school got rid of. So I ended up just having to go home eventually because it just wasn't working. And I worked in a call center, and it sucked. But Alyssa, I think, in that time, like you left Japan not much after, and then
Yeah, I think I returned back to the States in like July, August, because of being a student there. Because I remember coming back and having to like immediately move back into the dorms for my regular university semester here in the States, or like it was a really quick turnaround. So I think because it was like April, May, June, July. Yeah, probably like end of July, beginning of August, I came back to the States. And then my school started at the end of August rather than September. So I, yeah, literally got back from Japan. I think I had like a week or two, and then I went into my senior year. That was the year where I was just like, you know what? I think I'm gonna go live in Korea because my host family, my host mom was half Korean, half Korean, half Japanese, and I had two Korean host sisters. And then having traveled to Korea, and then all my Korean friends at uni, I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna go live in this country. I'm gonna go live there for a year, see what happens.
Yeah. And hilariously, Alyssa doesn't remember this, but I didn't at first. But when we were in Oliver together, we were the makeup team that did like the whole team. Uh, so the makeup team had this Korean guy, and she didn't remember this, but they were kind of like flirting back and forth. So when Alyssa said that she was going to Korea, I was always like, oh, she's gonna go after that guy. But apparently, she didn't even remember that, so didn't go after that guy. But I'm back home in Canada being like in a call center, miserable, miserable. Never even crossed my mind to go to Korea. Like it never, I wasn't really interested in learning Korean. I didn't really have any Korean friends. I didn't know anything about the country. I didn't spoke a lick of Korean. Um, but my call center job was bad. It was really bad. And I had I was one of the best, like, top performers in that job anyways, because I'm just good at customer service, whatever. But with a call center, they'll always pull, like, the ones there where you were given, like, a 3 review, even though you had, like, 100 5-star reviews. If you got, like, a 3, they're like, we'll pull this one and, like critique you on that. They did that, and I was just like, um, how much did you have to dig to get this? Or like this was your
Right.
only one that was not a 5. And I was like, and yet you're going to mark me down for it. Okay. And I guess I just lost it. And I walked out and I was like, I'm done. F it. F it, I'm done. I'm so like peace. And I had kind of been like, I miss teaching. Korea will at least pay your flight there and back. And I'd kind of been thinking, like, maybe, I don't know, but I don't know. And that was the moment when I was like, oh, I'm just going to, let's just go for it. I know nothing about this, but it's like, you've done a terrifying thing before by moving to Japan, and you can do it again. And this time it will actually be terrifying because you don't know any Korean. You can't read Korean. Like, with Japan, I spoke Japanese a bit. I
Yeah,
studied,
same.
I could read, I could get around. I'm on my flight to Korea with a little thing of index cards teaching myself Hangul. Like, I didn't know how to count. I didn't know basic greeting. Like, I knew nothing. And I still was just like, well, it's better than the call center. Whatever, let's go. And in that time where I was like, I'd quit the job, and then so that would have been like, I think April, March, like April or
2010-ish?
May in, no, 2010. 2010 it would have been.
Yeah,
Um,
2010.
and then I was on my way at the end of August that year. And
Yeah,
so,
I got to mine over in July. So I was in a panic trying to, because all the grades and everything weren't in yet for my degree. So I'm like panicking, trying. I'm like, I need this for my visa. I'm moving to Korea in July. I need this now.
yeah.
That
Now,
was me.
and that was something that I learned really quickly while trying to do the paperwork. Like, moving to Japan was easy. They were just like, here's your paperwork, we've done your visa. Like, everything was just so effortless. And then moving to
Mhm.
Korea, I got my visa. Like, they knew when my flight was, and I had been in contact with the embassy, and they just kept putting it off. I got my visa in my passport literally 6 hours before my flight.
That is awful.
Welcome to buddy buddy culture. Just hurry up and wait. Like, they had my documents for ages, and it just, oh, like there's always something. And I was like, oh no, what am I getting myself into? But in that
Yeah,
period, like,
that's crazy.
yeah. But in that window where it was like, oh, you're moving to Korea, you should probably learn some stuff about, Korea. And that was when I discovered Shiny. And that was the first time where the song was like, it was a K-pop song. And I was like, Lucifer is pretty much the most incredible thing ever. And honestly, the pipeline from Erotic to Lucifer, they're not far off. And it's like, I have a type.
And there's a reason, and they're even in the same company, so it's even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just think of the video from Erotic and then the video for Lucifer. They're not that far off. It's just
No,
like
they're really not.
guys kind of in like weird tubes dancing.
Yeah.
I don't even care. But like I was getting into I looked up some K-pop stuff, so I knew the big three. And around the same time, like here was the other thing, was there was stuff happening over here as well. So this was around the time when the Wonder Girls were opening for the Jonas Brothers.
Jonas Brothers. Yeah, that's right. I think 2 p.m. was trying to do something too.
They were trying, but they weren't. But like it was
I think it's when Boa was trying to come over as well.
Yeah, quite a few of them were trying to come over, but the Wonder Girls were like the first one who really got like a good foothold by doing the Jonas Brothers tour. I considered going just so I could be like, oh, I should like get to know this group, but I didn't because I was like, that's expensive. I wasn't a Jonas Brothers fan and I didn't know these girls. And I was like, that's money I don't have. So I was like, I could sense just in the, I don't know, international fan base, there was a lot of people who were really into J-pop, and I could sense a lot of people internationally were starting to like pivot to K-pop because, Johnny's was was declining. You had Katsun was the members were leaving, and there was just, it kind of felt like things were fading with J-pop. They weren't interested in being global at all. And K-pop was making these attempts to be like, oh, we actually acknowledge that there's a world outside of our country. And so I was like, oh, that'll be fun. So I found out Alyssa was going to be there, which was awesome because I was like, oh, good, I'll have a friend. And I knew that one of my best friends from when I lived in Japan and like ended up being like still one of my best friends when we were in Korea, Ida, had gone from being into our incredibly obscure fandom in Japan to going nuts for K-pop. She was really into 2 a.m. And so I knew, I was like, okay, I've got Ida. Ida's going to come and visit me and I won't be completely alone. And I was like, I know Alyssa will be there. So I'm not completely alone. And I moved to Korea. And I don't even remember.
How did we even reconnect? Did we just?
Oh no, I just reached out to you. I just reached out to you because I was like,
I thought that's how it went.
Yeah, but Liz, do you remember what your first K-pop concert was? I don't know if it was the same as mine, but I think it might have been. You may have got tickets for me.
I don't.
I'll give you a hint. It kind of ties in with with that last concert. We went to JYJ.
Oh, that's right.
So JYJ
I knew we went to JYJ, but I don't I knew we went to it together, but I was like, I don't remember my first concert. I barely remember what I had for breakfast, let alone what happened.
I don't know. Don't ask me what I did literally 10 minutes ago or 10 weeks or 10 months ago. 10 years ago? It's in here. Everything that's happened after Korea has just been awful. So I just remember up till then. But yeah, my first K-pop concert was JYJ, and I'm not gonna lie, I didn't. It was okay. It was cold. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Oh my god, it was so damn cold.
We were in one of those domes or something. It was in November or something, and it was just so cold. And
I still got pictures from that somewhere.
Oh yeah, I had a toque on, scarf, I had like a little sign, and I have a video of me in like my Canada like red mittens, like and
I was lame and brought an American flag. We were kind of again like up in the nosebleed-ish section. So
literally
it was like,
we were closer to airplanes than we were JYJ. Like
we
I
really
do
were.
not recall actually seeing them on stage.
They were
We were
big.
so far up, but it was like an insane experience. Like to be in
Mhm.
with, you know, they had all their reds. They were wearing like they had their Cassiopeia reds out and stuff because
Mhm.
they were like, we're keeping our color, and I was like, go for it, whatever. I know nothing about this. But it was, I think for that to be our first big concert was kind of iconic. Like, oh no, I'm too cold from that day. Like my day was just like, I'm too cold to remember anything. I just remember like I was like, I can't see anything. I don't even remember what song they had. Like I don't know much. I can't remember what they came out with.
Yeah, I'd have to look it up
I know
again.
that they
I
had
knew
like
I was
a
obsessed with it.
foreign producer or like a foreign collab
Mhm.
with it. It was like probably like
Yes.
Timbaland or something. Like I feel like it was.
I know. I think Jonte may have
Yeah, I mean like that,
been.
but it was like they had a big name. Like I'm talking like
Yeah.
like like a Timbaland Jay-Z type situation where it was someone big because they wanted to make a point.
Right. Yes.
But I
But
don't even remember what song they had.
But I think like the choreographer was Jonte or something like
Yeah.
that. And
I didn't know
but
much
I
about.
think
Alyssa's a dancer. I was a singer, so Alyssa will know all the choreography stuff, and I'm just like, they look
maybe.
good. Let me talk about the singing a bit. They look really good. I like that though. And
No.
really, like for us getting into, do you remember like kind of how we got into what our settled fandom was? Like, do you remember getting into that?
Mine I was actually kind of leaning towards 2 p.m.
Yeah.
for a bit, and it was because of this couple that was blogging about Korea, and they did like what a K-pop Tuesdays or something like that. And
Oh, you mean Eat Your Kimchi?
yes,
Yeah.
Eat Your Kimchi, doing like a K-pop Tuesday or something like
what
that.
was that called?
And I
like,
don't remember.
They had like a special like video, and they were iconic. Like those Eat Your Kimchi videos. And I do think they had like Spudgy the dog and like they were like Eat Your Kimchi were as big a part of the K-pop fandom if you were an international fan as the groups themselves. Like they created so many of the like Batoost and like
that's right.
like
I still think
so
of that
many
every time I watch one of their music videos.
Soy and Dorito, like.
But so what got me though was, like I said, I was going into 2 p.m. and they did their whatever video it was, and it was who wore it better. 2 p.m. from Heartbeat, like their suits, and there was this other group that like, it was like they were reviewing like a music video. And they were like, so who wore it better, 2 p.m. in Heartbeat or You Kiss in Shikoro? And I'm like, who are these guys? And I went and I watched Shikoro or Shut Up. And I went, who are these guys and why haven't I heard of them before? And that was the beginning of the end.
Yeah. I guess we should full disclosure. Me and Alyssa were and are hardcore Kiss Me's. Like I think we both would have left Korea a lot earlier if UKISS weren't the group they were. If they weren't
I kind of agree.
so accessible and if they weren't so lovely. Like, we're going to talk about them a lot. We're going to try and be like, talk about others, but they are the reason that we stayed there for for me, 3.5 years. And, yeah. And God, it would be dreams on the show. I'd love to be interviewing people one day. And Kevin.
Hi, Kevin. Mystery Saja.
Yeah. To me, that's still, we're going to talk about that later, but to me, the fact that he kind of introduces himself as Mystery Saja, I'm just like, you kiss.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah, he's Yukis, but but that's how everyone knows him.
Yeah, I
now.
know, and it's still weird as hell. But my
Not gonna lie,
introduction,
every chance I get,
I know.
Oh, hey, so Mystery Saja was in this group. You should go check out his group.
Yeah, I've hugged him.
Me too.
It's like, deal with it. But
hers is more infamous than mine.
mine is, yeah. But anyways, so around the same time, Alyssa and I have kind of like, we're catching up, and my friend Ida, once again, the instigator of all of the bad things and good things that I've ever done in Korea, and I mean that in like the greatest way possible. So we had like this was in the day of live journal. Yes, we're old. So we had like a little group, a private group where we just, she would just post the most ridiculous stuff, and she was the type that would do like a lot of like manifestos for fans, like fanifestos. And so so she wrote one just being like, I just need to talk about how much I love these guys. And she was like, Rebecca, you will like them because this video meets your criteria of them looking like dumb himbos. And I was like, I'm very easy. I'm very, very like easy to like predict. It's like,
Mama, honey.
abs, like they look, and once again, it's guys in a weird like in a tunnel looking sexy. Like, so Shikado came out, and my friend Ida knows me so well because she was like, you'll like this one, and showed me a gif of Kevin shirtless, and I was like, you're right, I do.
She knows you so well.
I'm so predictable. I have a type. And she was like, you like this one, and I was like, I do. I do. But unfortunately, we had missed the promotional cycle for that. And then immediately after, two of the members were like kicked out. So R.I.P. Xander and Keebum. But that means I never got to meet them, which, well...
Yeah, same, me neither.
I never got to meet them as part of UKIS, which I did end up meeting Xander, but that was like really random. But
yeah, anyways, I don't think I've ever met him.
So me and Alyssa were kind of like just being like, we're kind of like, we kind of want to see this group, but they didn't have concerts, so we just went to a lot of concerts. That winter, I think we kind of made a tradition of doing like a Christmas concert every year, and the Christmas concert that year, what was it, Alyssa? Do you remember?
Like, it's either 2 a.m. or JYP.
JYP Nation.
Like,
JYP Nation was such a good concept. It was just, we're gonna have all of our artists. Like, I know SM Town existed, and I could never get tickets to that because it's SM Town, and they were just, they were and same with crazy. Like, I don't remember if YG had like their, a YG Town, because it really would have just been 21 and Big Bang, and they're like, we don't need to do concerts together because we're 21 and Big Bang. But
yeah, I know like 21 when they first came out did
they did Lollipop. They did
Lollipop, and one of the girls from 21 was on like a Big Bang track.
Yeah,
I don't
I can't remember which one it was, but like JYP Nation was hilarious simply because no one was going to go to a JYP concert. But he desperately wanted to perform in front of everyone. He did JYP Nation, literally did it so that he could get on stage and be like, these are my boys, look at me, look at me. And so we got to see 2 p.m. and 2 a.m. and I think the Wonder Girls performed.
Wonder Girls were there.
Miss A weren't formed yet, but then full circle for me. Big full circle for me. I can remember we were on like ground level. I don't know how we got those tickets. We were ground level.
We got lucky.
And we had no idea what was going on because my Korean was horrific. Alyssa's probably wasn't much better. Like, it was better than mine. I never really took to Korean as well as I did Japanese, which was unfortunate, but
yeah,
we're like,
I kind of knew, but it was like because I knew who you're talking about. I knew his name in Korean, and I knew the word for this type of weather.
Yeah.
That I heard it. I went.
Yeah. So out comes
Yeah.
this person on stage, and we're like, who is this? We don't recognize this guy. And I look around, I see the fans just losing their minds. And I'm like, I think it's rain. Oh my God, I think it's rain. Holy sh-
Yeah, I think I had caught the word "bee," and I don't think of all the Korean of all the words that I knew, "bee" rain was one of the few, and so I was just like,
Yeah, and for me, it was just like I recognized the music because I had looked into some of his other stuff and his dancing because Stephen Colbert. And so having him come out and like he wasn't even part of JYP at this point. Like
no, he wasn't. He was
and
actually created J-Tune.
Yeah, which eventually like he was actually it was around that time. I'm surprised that M Black didn't come out because M Black debuted I think around the same time because once again I have a type and I really liked yeah.
M Black was fantastic.
Oh yeah, it was fantastic. But so yeah, he comes out. 2PM are performing as backup dancers for Rain. Like literally shirts are ripping everywhere. I wasn't able to speak for like 3 days after. I screamed myself hoarse. It was insane.
I also remember 2PM covering one of the Wonder Girls song because I think we were like on. I think that was a JYP Nation because I think we were out on like the thrust state part of the stage.
Two PM were really good at being like, get me in a mini skirt. And it's like, okay.
It was hilarious. I don't know if that's still a thing in Korea, like if that's still an obsession of dressing boys and boys up as girls and making them do girl group dances.
I don't think it is anymore because I think it's kind of not quite as like PC to be like, oh look, we're gonna make them dress like girls, but you can't be gay. Like I don't know, but we actually do have. I'm hoping we're gonna get. We have some topics that I've come up with a long list of topics that we're gonna talk about, and there are ones where we're gonna hopefully bring in people who are still in K-pop because, full disclosure, I left in 2014, and I think I stayed in.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah. I moved home.
Oh, I only left a year after then you.
Yeah,
oh,
you didn't stay like much longer.
2 years after.
So
okay.
I left in 2014, early 2014, and I didn't. By the end of the year, like I wasn't keeping up with the new artists, and like I said, like the artists that people consider as the beginning of Gen 3, they were not my style of music. Like it was a lot harder and rappier, and I just wasn't into it. And they, like, as I was leaving, they were starting to win. And I was just like, I don't vibe with a lot of this music. So I tapped out at like second generation artists, and I really didn't start paying attention again until BTS came over here, and I was like,
blew everything up.
We're going to talk more about them in another episode because we were at their debut promotions, and my opinion of them changed a lot over the time between that first performance and now. We'll just say that. We'll leave it there. My opinion has changed a lot.
Yeah. That's one of those moments where I'm just like, I have never been more glad to be wrong in my life.
I know, right?
That's mine.
I wasn't wrong. Everything I believed was true. It just
No,
ended in the most
I
positive
very
way.
much was.
Yeah. But
Because yeah, we'll
we'll
talk more in other
we
episodes.
gotta leave
about
some
it.
stuff for other stuff. But
Right, yeah.
so I guess let's just to wrap things up. We do have socials. We're going to be posting this. So
Yep.
if you're listening to this, because I am going to be posting this on all of the podcast audio platforms, we are on YouTube. We have Instagram. We're on Facebook. Give us a follow. Give us a like. If you've been listening to this and enjoyed it, give us 5 stars. Give us a share, of course. We are doing this because we missed that time. Like it has been so. It was
like almost transformative.
Oh, it was such an to me it was the 5 years where I was in Japan and Korea were the most influential 5 years of my life. Like I am not the same person I was going in, and it was real. Like there was a long period where we couldn't talk about this huge chunk of our lives because nobody cared. They're like, "What the hell's K-pop?"
Right.
Nobody cared at all.
They
and
really
now they
didn't.
do. But the problem is everyone's like, they know Gen 3, they know Gen 4, and it's like, we were there for Gen 2, and we just need to talk about it because no one's talking about it. And this is my midlife crisis, essentially. Like, I just need to talk about this until I feel better.
Yeah, and we will be talking about a more recent release of like our impressions of this movie.
Yeah,
and the
we don't need to
music
be
and everything.
We're going to be covering all of this. Like, we're going to talk about K-pop Demon Hunters for so many reasons because I have so many opinions and thoughts and feelings. I could literally right now we have 2 episodes planned. I think we're going to end up doing more because
Probably.
it is. If you know nothing about Korea, it's an incredible movie. The more you know about Korea, the more your appreciation of this movie grows. And so we're going to dig into just like the things that people might have missed that we loved so much. And of course we want to talk about it because like we said, my bias was Mystery Saja. So that was a very, very weird thing for me. We're just going to say I still have trouble wrapping my head around it sometimes. Just being like, oh, this guy from this Nugu group that nobody really seemed to appreciate, he's now a singer in a group, like in a, fake band, but one that went like
one of the most in one of the most popular movies.
Oscar winning. Like, do we get to count him as an Oscar winner? I mean, I don't think so, but I don't know. I
mean, he's part of it, but I mean, technically it was.
Yeah, it wasn't even his song, but I mean, he's part of the movie, so I guess.
Yeah, right.
And, Grammy as well, so halfway to an EGOT. Let's go, Kevin. But yeah, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about just. Oh, a lot of what we're going to talk about comes from the fact that there were not many foreigners. It was not a very international audience there.
No.
And so the stories that we have to tell, genuinely nobody believes us when we talk about them. And you're going to listen to us and maybe you won't believe us, but we believe ourselves. And in many cases, we have fan cams and television footage to prove us right. So, but yeah.
We can back it up.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. And yeah, we've got lots coming up. So give us a like, give us a subscribe, give us a share, give us a follow, and we will see all of your beautiful faces next week. Okay. Bye.
Bye.